The intelligence briefing that landed on Admiral Chen Baoming's desk at the People's Liberation Army Navy headquarters in Beijing contained satellite imagery that fundamentally altered Chinese naval planning for the Yellow Sea. South Korea's Republic of Korea Navy had just conducted the maiden sea trials of ROKS Jeongjo the Great, the lead vessel of the revolutionary KDX-IV destroyer class, and the performance data streaming. Back to Seoul. Exceeded even the most optimistic projections from Hyundai Heavy Industries. The 8,500-ton warship had demonstrated radar cross-section reduction capabilities that approach those of American and Japanese stealth destroyers, while its indigenous Haegung combat management system had successfully coordinated simultaneous tracking of over 400 aerial targets during live-fire exercises off Jeju Island. Within hours of the intelligence assessment reaching the highest levels of Chinese naval command, emergency procurement meetings were being convened to accelerate development of countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize South Korean naval advantages. The implications rippled far beyond simple capability comparisons. South Korea's technological leap represented a fundamental shift in regional maritime balance that could potentially neutralize China's numerical superiority in surface combatants. Defense analysts across the Pacific recognized that Seoul had achieved something previously thought impossible for a middle power: the development of indigenous destroyer technology that could credibly challenge Chinese naval dominance without relying entirely on American systems and support. But as impressive as South Korea's achievement appears on paper, the ultimate question, haunting defense ministries from Washington to Tokyo, remains unanswered. Can a single class of advanced destroyers truly alter the strategic equation against the world's largest navy, or has Seoul simply painted a larger target on itself in an arms race it cannot win? The strategic environment that drove South Korea to develop the KDX-IV destroyer reflects a peninsular nation caught between escalating threats from multiple directions in an increasingly unstable region. China's naval expansion over the past 15 years has fundamentally transformed the security landscape around the Korean peninsula, with the People's Liberation Army Navy now regularly operating advanced destroyers, carriers, submarines in waters that Seoul considers essential to its economic survival and territorial defense. Beijing's growing assertiveness in territorial disputes, combined with its expanding military cooperation with North Korea, has created a strategic environment where South Korea can no longer rely solely on American protection to guarantee its maritime security. The Taiwan Strait crisis scenarios that Pentagon planners regularly wargame would inevitably draw American naval assets away from Korean waters, potentially leaving South Korea vulnerable to Chinese pressure or outright aggression during a broader Pacific conflict. North Korea's submarine capabilities, while technically inferior to Chinese platforms, pose persistent threats to South Korean shipping lanes and naval facilities, requiring constant vigilance and advanced anti-submarine warfare capabilities that strain existing naval resources. The economic dimensions of South Korea's maritime security concerns cannot be understated, with over 95% of the nation's trade flowing through sea lanes that Chinese naval expansion increasingly threatens to dominate. China's artificial island construction in the South China Sea, while geographically distant from Korean waters, demonstrates Beijing's willingness to use military force to reshape maritime geography in pursuit of strategic objectives that could easily extend to the Yellow Sea and East China Sea. The psychological impact of China's growing naval presence near Korean territorial waters creates political pressures in Seoul that demand credible, indigenous responses rather than continued dependence on American security guarantees that may prove insufficient during future crises. Japan's own naval modernization, including stealth, destroyer development, and expanded missile capabilities, adds another layer of complexity to regional maritime dynamics. with Seoul needing to maintain technological parity with Tokyo while focusing primary attention on Chinese and North Korean threats. The United States, while maintaining its alliance commitment to South Korea, has increasingly emphasized that Asian partners must develop greater self-reliance in defense capabilities, creating strategic imperatives for indigenous development programs, reduce dependence on American platforms and systems, Russia's limited but persistent naval presence in the region, combined with its growing military cooperation with China and North Korea, creates additional complications for South Korean strategic planning that require flexible and capable naval responses. The convergence of these threats, Chinese expansion, North Korean submarines, alliance uncertainties, economic vulnerabilities, and technological competition, generated the strategic necessity that drove South Korea to bidly invest massive resources in developing advanced destroyer capabilities that could operate effectively in this increasingly complex and dangerous maritime environment. South Korea's KDX-IV destroyer represents a quantum leap in indigenous naval technology that combines cutting-edge systems with proven design principles to create a platform capable of challenging even the most advanced Chinese naval platforms. The Jeongjo the Great displaces 8,500 tons at full load and measures 155 meters in length with a beam of 18.8 meters, making it slightly smaller than China's Type 055 destroyers, but significantly more advanced in several critical capabilities. The hull design incorporates stealth shaping, principles developed through extensive collaboration with international partners, featuring angled surfaces, reduced superstructure complexity, and radar-absorbing materials that collectively reduce radar cross-section by approximately 75% compared to previous Korean destroyer classes. The integrated mast design eliminates traditional rotating radar antennas in favor of fixed, active, electronically scanned array panels that provide 360-degree coverage while maintaining low electromagnetic signatures that complicate enemy targeting attempts. The propulsion system utilizes a combined diesel and gas turbine configuration featuring two General Electric LM 2500 gas turbines generating 25 megawatts, each paired with two MTU diesel engines for efficient cruising operations, providing maximum speed exceeding 32 knots and operational range approaching 5,500 miles at economical speed. The indigenous Haegung Combat Management System represents perhaps the destroyer's most significant technological achievement, integrating multiple sensor inputs through advanced data fusion algorithms that can simultaneously process information from radar, sonar, electronic warfare, and data link sources to maintain comprehensive battlefield awareness. The S-band AESA radar system operates with peak power exceeding 15 kilowatts per transmit-receive module, providing detection ranges of 450 kilometers for large aerial targets while maintaining low probability of intercept. Characteristics that prevent easy detection by enemy electronic warfare systems. Sonar suite incorporates both hull-mounted and variable depth systems optimized for the shallow water conditions common in Korean coastal areas, with the indigenous SQS-2 50K providing active sonar detection ranges exceeding 40 kilometers for submarine-sized targets in optimal acoustic conditions. Electronic warfare capabilities center around the SLQ-200K system that provides comprehensive signals, intelligence gathering, and active jamming capabilities across multiple frequency bands, with particular emphasis on countering Chinese and North Korean radar and communication systems. The vertical launch system incorporates 128 cells arranged in two modules, representing the highest missile capacity of any destroyer in South Korean service and enabling flexible loadouts. optimized for specific threat scenarios. Primary air defense relies on the indigenous Jeongjo II naval variant, with 64 missiles providing layered defense against aircraft, anti-ship missiles, and short-range ballistic missiles at ranges extending to 150 kilometers. Anti-submarine warfare capabilities utilize the indigenous Hongsang-AO lightweight torpedo delivered by KDX-IV missiles, with 32 rounds providing engagement capability against submarines at ranges up to 50 kilometers. The most significant offensive capability comes from 32 indigenous Haesong-3 anti-ship missiles, supersonic weapons with 300-kilometer range, and advanced terminal guidance systems specifically designed to penetrate modern naval air defenses. Compared to China's Type 055 destroyers, the KDX-IV offers superior stealth characteristics and more advanced radar technology, though the Chinese vessels carry more missile cells and heavier anti-ship weapons. American Army. Berg Flight 3 destroyers provide comparable air defense capabilities but lack the comprehensive stealth shaping and indigenous systems integration that characterizes the Korean design. Japanese Maya-class destroyers offer similar air defense performance but operate with less sophisticated anti-submarine warfare capabilities and smaller missile loadouts. The KDX-IV's indigenous systems provide South Korea with operational independence that reduces reliance on foreign technical support while enabling customization for specific regional threat environments that foreign platforms cannot easily accommodate. The operational deployment of South Korea's KDX-IV destroyers fundamentally transforms combat dynamics across multiple warfare scenarios, providing capabilities that dramatically enhance Seoul's ability to defend its maritime interests against increasingly sophisticated threats. In an air defense scenario triggered by a massive Chinese air assault designed to establish air superiority over the Yellow Sea, a single KDX-IV operating 200 kilometers west of Incheon would detect incoming J-20 stealth fighters and H-6 Newtons bombers at maximum radar range while coordinating with land-based air defenses and allied aircraft through secure data links. The destroyer's Jeongjo II missiles would engage the highest priority targets at ranges exceeding 100 kilometers, forcing Chinese aircraft to expend countermeasures and alter flight profiles that would degrade their mission effectiveness. As Chinese anti-ship missiles launched from H-6 Newtons, bombers approach Korean territorial waters, the KDX-IV's close-in weapon systems would provide terminal defense, while the ship's electronic warfare suite jammed Chinese targeting radars and communications systems. The destroyer's stealth characteristics would complicate Chinese targeting throughout the engagement, forcing enemy forces to commit additional resources, neutralize what they perceive as high-value Korean naval assets. In an anti-submarine warfare scenario where Chinese submarines attempted to establish a blockade of South Korean ports, the KDX-IV would exploit its advanced sonar systems and shallow water ASW capabilities to detect and engage enemy submarines before they could establish effective patrol stations. The destroyer would coordinate with Korean maritime patrol aircraft and submarines to triangulate submarine positions using its KDX-IV missiles to deliver torpedoes directly to target locations while maintaining sufficient distance to avoid counterattack. The ship's variable depth sonar would provide enhanced detection capability in the complex acoustic environment of Korean coastal waters, while advanced signal processing would distinguish between Chinese submarines and civilian vessels or marine life. Naval strike scenarios would demonstrate the KDX-IV's ability to engage Chinese surface action groups attempting to dominate key maritime choke points around the Korean peninsula. Operating in coordination with other Korean naval assets, the destroyer would use its Haesong-3 missiles to engage Chinese destroyers and frigates at maximum range, with each supersonic anti-ship missile following sea-skimming profiles, designed to defeat Chinese air defense systems. The destroyer's stealth characteristics would enable it to achieve favorable firing positions while remaining undetected by Chinese surface search radars, providing first-shot advantages that could prove decisive in surface engagements. Missile defense scenarios would showcase the KDX-IV's role in protecting South Korean territory against North Korean ballistic missile attacks, with the destroyer's Jeongjo system providing additional intercept capability that supplements land-based missile defense systems. The destroyer would position itself to provide optimal intercept geometry against incoming missiles while coordinating with other air defense platforms through the Korean air and missile defense system. Electronic warfare scenarios would demonstrate the destroyer's ability to operate in heavily contested electromagnetic environments, using its advanced EW systems to protect friendly forces, while degrading enemy capabilities through targeted jamming and deception. Each scenario illustrates how the KDX-IV provides South Korea with flexible naval capabilities that can adapt to multiple threat types while maintaining the technological advantages necessary to engage more numerous enemy forces on favorable terms. The strategic implications of South Korea's KDX-IV destroyer program extend far beyond simple naval capability enhancement, fundamentally altering regional security dynamics and alliance relationships in ways that will influence Pacific stability for decades. China's naval planners now face the uncomfortable reality that their numerical advantage in surface combatants may not guarantee tactical superiority in Korean coastal waters, where advanced Korean destroyers operating with intimate knowledge of local conditions could inflict significant losses on Chinese naval forces. The psychological impact on Chinese strategic planning cannot be understated, with the presence of capable Korean naval platforms complicating Beijing's calculations about the costs and risks of potential military operations near the Korean peninsula. Seoul's achievement in developing advanced destroyer technology independently demonstrates South Korean industrial capabilities that enhance the nation's strategic autonomy while reducing dependence on foreign defense suppliers who might restrict technology transfer or impose political conditions on advanced systems. The success of the KDX-IV program positions South Korea as a credible supplier of advanced naval technology to other middle powers seeking to enhance their maritime defense capabilities against regional threats, potentially creating new diplomatic and economic opportunities that strengthen Seoul's international position. Japan observes South Korea's naval advancement with a mixture of respect and concern, recognizing Korean technological achievements while worrying about potential shifts in regional military balance that could affect Japanese security interests or alliance relationships. The United States views South Korea's indigenous destroyer development as validation of its strategy, encouraging allied capability development, though Washington also monitors Korean technological advancement to ensure continued interoperability and prevent potential competition with American defense exports. North Korea's strategic planners recognize that enhanced South Korean naval capabilities significantly complicate any potential maritime operations against the South, forcing Pyongyang to allocate additional resources to naval countermeasures that might otherwise support land-based forces or nuclear weapons programs. The broader deterrence equation across Northeast Asia shifts in ways that could enhance regional stability by demonstrating that middle powers can develop credible defensive capabilities without triggering immediate arms races, though. The potential for misunderstanding or overreaction remains significant. China's likely response will focus on accelerating its own naval modernization while developing specific countermeasures designed to neutralize South Korean advantages, potentially including enhanced submarine capabilities, hypersonic anti-ship missiles, and electronic warfare systems optimized for Korean destroyer vulnerabilities. The alliance implications prove complex, with enhanced South Korean capabilities potentially reducing Seoul's dependence on American naval protection while creating new opportunities for burden sharing and capability complementarity within the alliance structure. Regional arms race dynamics could accelerate if other nations perceive South Korean naval advancement as threatening their own security interests. Though the defensive nature of Korean destroyer capabilities may limit escalatory pressures compared to offensive platforms like long-range missiles or aircraft carriers. Despite the impressive capabilities that South Korea's KDX-IV destroyers provide, significant limitations and practical constraints reduce the strategic impact these platforms can realistically achieve against the scale of threats facing the Korean peninsula. The most immediate limitation stems from fleet size, with current plans calling for only 6 destroyers over the next decade, a number that appears inadequate against the massive scale of Chinese naval forces that could potentially operate in Korean waters during a major conflict. Each destroyer costs approximately $1.8 billion to construct and outfit, representing a massive investment that constrains South Korea's ability to procure sufficient numbers to achieve meaningful force multiplication against numerically superior adversaries. The advanced technology that makes these destroyers so capable also creates vulnerabilities in terms of maintenance, complexity, and logistics requirements, with sophisticated radar and combat systems demanding specialized technical support that may not be available at forward operating bases during sustained combat operations. Training bottlenecks represent another critical constraint, with the complex systems, integration, and advanced tactics required for effective KDX-IV employment demanding crew expertise that takes years to develop and cannot be rapidly scaled across the entire Republic of Korea Navy. The destroyer's stealth characteristics, while impressive, are not absolute and can be degraded by certain environmental conditions, multiple radar frequencies, or external weapons carriage that might be necessary during high-intensity conflicts where maximum firepower takes precedence over signature reduction. Operational range limitations constrain the destroyer's ability to operate far from Korean territorial waters, potentially limiting its effectiveness in broader Pacific scenarios where Allied cooperation might require extended deployments away from home bases and logistics support. The indigenous systems that provide operational independence also create potential isolation from Allied technological development and intelligence sharing that could leave Korean platforms operating with degraded situational awareness during coalition operations. Political constraints within South Korean domestic politics may limit how these enhanced capabilities can actually be employed, with constitutional restrictions on offensive operations, potentially preventing full utilization of the destroyer's strike capabilities, even during legitimate defensive scenarios. The economic sustainability of the Lester-Bow KDX-IV program faces challenges from competing defense priorities and budget constraints that could limit planned procurement numbers or delay critical upgrade programs needed to maintain technological advantages over evolving threats. Industrial base limitations may constrain South Korea's ability to maintain and upgrade these sophisticated platforms without continued foreign technology input, particularly in areas like advanced semiconductors and specialized materials that remain dominated by a small number of international suppliers. South Korea's KDX-IV destroyer program represents the foundation of a broader naval transformation that will reshape Korean maritime capabilities and regional security. Dynamics throughout the 2032 and beyond. The Republic of Korea Navy has already initiated planning for enhanced variants of the KDX-IV that will incorporate hypersonic missile capabilities, artificial intelligence-assisted combat management, and directed energy weapons that could provide revolutionary advantages over conventional naval platforms. Integration with South Korea's growing satellite constellation and unmanned systems programs offers possibilities for distributed maritime operations, where manned destroyers coordinate with autonomous platforms to multiply effective force size while reducing human risk exposure. The development of advanced manufacturing technologies, including 3D printing and AI-assisted design, could accelerate future upgrade cycles while reducing costs, enabling South Korea to maintain technological parity with larger naval powers through rapid innovation rather than massive procurement programs. The broader implications for Korean defense industrial development extend beyond naval platforms to encompass advanced sensors, weapon systems, and electronic warfare capabilities that could transform South Korea into a major defense technology exporter, serving allied nations facing similar regional security challenges. China's response to South Korean naval advancement will likely accelerate Chinese development of next-generation destroyer designs, submarine capabilities, and hypersonic anti-ship weapons specifically optimized to counter Korean platforms, creating ongoing technological competition that could drive innovation across multiple domains. The alliance dimension offers opportunities for enhanced cooperation with the United States and Japan on advanced naval technologies, potentially creating trilateral development programs that leverage each nation's specific technological strengths while reducing individual development costs and timeline pressures. Regional implications could include enhanced deterrent stability if South Korea's naval capabilities convince potential adversaries that the costs of aggression exceed potential benefits, though escalatory risks remain if arms race dynamics overwhelm diplomatic efforts to manage regional tensions. The export potential for South Korean naval technology creates opportunities to strengthen relationships with potential partners while generating revenue that could support continued domestic naval modernization, though technology transfer restrictions and geopolitical considerations may limit market opportunities. Advanced threat developments, including swarming, unmanned platforms, cyber warfare capabilities, and electronic attack systems, will require continuous evolution of Korean destroyer capabilities to maintain effectiveness against rapidly evolving threats that may challenge current technological assumptions. The long-term trajectory suggests that South Korea's naval capabilities will continue expanding in scope and sophistication, potentially positioning Seoul as a major Pacific naval power capable of independent operations across broad maritime areas that currently require American or Allied support. As the KDX-IV Jeongjo the Great cuts through Pacific waters with its revolutionary systems, scanning for threats that may never come or may already be closer than anyone dares to. Imagine, one question echoes through the halls of power from Seoul to Beijing. Has South Korea's technological masterstroke created the deterrent that finally brings stability to Northeast Asia? Or has it simply triggered a naval arms race that will force China demonstrate just how far it's willing to go to maintain its dominance over waters, considers essential to its own survival?